5 unbelievable paranormal events. History is filled with wars, kings, and inventions, but buried beneath official records are events so strange that even modern science struggles to explain them. And all of them leave behind a single disturbing question. What if reality is far stranger than we ever could have believed? Saint Denis, the walking martyr. In the 3rd century AD, in what is now Paris, a Christian bishop named Denis was sentenced to death by Roman authorities for preaching Christianity. According to multiple medieval sources, Denis was beheaded on Montmartre Hill. What happened next is where history becomes legend. Witnesses recorded that after his head was severed, Denis stood up, picked up his own skull, and walked several miles while preaching a final sermon. He did not collapse until he reached the place where the Basilica of Saint Denis now stands. The Catholic Church canonized him as Saint Denis, and medieval Paris was built around the route he was said to have walked. Whether miracle or myth, one thing is certain. His story was taken seriously enough to shape the geography of France itself. Fire without flame, spontaneous human combustion. For centuries, strange deaths have been reported where people appear to have burned to death without an external fire. In 1951, in St. Petersburg, Florida, Mary Reeser was found almost entirely reduced to ash in her armchair. Her skull had shrunk from the heat. The room was barely damaged. A candle nearby was untouched. No accelerant present, is what the investigative report said. No overturned heater or candle. No explanation, even to this day. Then, in 2010, in Galway, Ireland, Michael Flaherty was found burned to death in his living room. The coroner concluded something unprecedented. This fits the category of spontaneous human combustion. In both cases, flames appeared to have consumed the body, but not the surroundings. Science offers theories: 2 centuries, 2 people continents apart, same impossible fire. And there are more cases of spontaneous combustion. The Screaming Skull of Bettiscombe Manor. In Dorset, England, there is a house called Bettiscombe Manor. Inside it is a human skull that, according to legend, cannot be removed. The skull is believed to belong to a former enslaved man who lived in the house in the 1700s. When his remains were removed from the home, witnesses claimed the house became filled with blood-curdling screams, banging walls, and violent disturbances. The skull was returned. The screaming stopped. Over the centuries, several attempts were made to remove it. Every time, the haunting returned. Today, the skull still remains inside the house, displayed as a quiet warning, a bone that history itself refuses to let go. The boy who remembered being someone else. In Louisiana, a young boy named James Leininger began having violent nightmares. According to his parents, James was obsessed with planes from the time he was a toddler. He wouldn't play with anything else. But when he turned 2, those same planes he loved started haunting his dreams every night. He screamed about plane crashes, burning engines, being shot down. He insisted he had once been a World War II pilot named James Houston, who flew from a ship called the USS Natoma Bay. His parents knew he wasn't being influenced by TV shows or any sort of media, as they never watched any World War II documentaries. But his parents were skeptical until they checked. There had been a real pilot named James Houston. He had died when his plane was shot down in 1945. He flew from the USS Natoma Bay. James Leininger knew details he had never been taught: names of squadron members, aircraft types, and events later verified by military historians. James would pretend to do pre-flight checks while playing. He could tell the difference in military aircrafts and vehicles. James had a chance to finally meet James Houston's surviving sister. She said little James had known things about her brother and their childhood that only the 2 of them could know. To this day, his case remains one of the most documented claims of reincarnation ever studied. Lost Time, a true Bermuda Triangle story. The young Coast Guardsman had always trusted in maps. Coordinates, bearings, coastlines. Those were things that didn't lie. Out on the water, they were the difference between life and death. So when he first saw the woman standing alone at the edge of the Florida docks that evening, he had no idea that everything he trusted was about to fail him. Her name was Barbara. She spoke softly. She said she was waiting for someone who never came. The guardsman, polite and curious, struck up a conversation. One thing led to another. "Would you drive me home?" "It was only a short trip inland," she said, "just a small town." He had no reason not to agree. They left the ocean behind as the road swallowed them. At first, everything seemed normal. Trees, roadside fences, the low hum of tires on asphalt. But the longer they drove, the stranger it felt. The same stretches of road kept repeating like a scratched record. When he turned on the radio, nothing but static answered him. Barbara stared straight ahead, gripping her hands together. "It shouldn't take this long," she whispered. Then the town appeared. It sat in a shallow valley like a forgotten photograph. A gas station, a diner, rows of houses. The kind of place that should have been warm and alive. Instead, it was silent. Not a single light glowed behind the windows. They stepped out of the car, and the guardsman felt a chill crawl across his skin. Everything looked old, not abandoned, but misplaced. Cars from another era sat in driveways. Signs were printed in styles he hadn't seen since childhood. Barbara's face drained of color. "This isn't right," she said. "This isn't my town." The air felt heavy, as if the world itself was holding its breath. Then Barbara suddenly grabbed his arm. "We have to go, now." The sky darkened as though someone had dimmed the sun. Shadows stretched unnaturally long. A low hum vibrated through the ground, like something enormous shifting just beneath reality. They ran. The moment the car pulled away, the road twisted. The horizon bent. Time itself seemed to warp. The guardsman felt dizzy, like he was being pulled through something unseen. And then, just as suddenly as it began, it was over. They were back near the coastline. The town was gone. The road that led to it didn't exist anymore. When the guardsman returned to base, he was told he'd been missing far longer than he believed. Hours had passed, maybe more. John and Barbara ultimately went their separate ways, never speaking of the strange incident to each other again. He wound up coming across a picture sometime later at a center. It was a soldier and a woman. The resemblance was striking. It looked like John and Barbara. But it makes you wonder what happened on that strange night in 1965 and what could have been. St. Denis walking without a head, bodies burning without fire, a skull that screams, a child who remembers another life, a Coast Guard and woman experience a time distortion. Each case stands alone, but together they form a disturbing pattern. Human history contains events that refuse to be neatly explained. And maybe it never will. Because some mysteries don't exist to be solved. Their existence reminds us that reality itself may be far stranger than we dare to imagine. Subscribe to Illuminate Stories for more tales where history meets legend and myth becomes reality. Don't forget to like, share, and hit the bell to stay illuminated.